Welcome back, everyone. Back for another episode of the Aos-to-Aos podcast. I'm Chris Oos.
I'm Aos. Today we are talking about ways to save money and different things like that. So I hope you guys enjoy the episode. Alright, so we are, like we said, talking about how to save money, different ways to save money, things that we do in our life that help us save money, things like that. Do you, like off the top of your head, like what's one thing that you do to help you save money?
I think first we should qualify that it's not just about, things we do to save money. It's things we do to spend our money, smarter.
Right.
Be more smart about where our money's going.
Right.
I mean, there's certain things in life that, like we've talked about it on previous podcasts where, like you see a lot of YouTubers that they go out there and they make all the money and they buy Lamborghinis and, all these Amazon guys that, flash their Lamborghinis and big houses and stuff because they want you to, buy their programs. That's not how smart money is spent.
Right.
I think with, being frugal isn't necessarily trying to save money or things like that. It's just being smarter with your money. I mean, you look at people like Warren Buffett who, instead of buying new cars, he buys, older cars. Most millionaires that are very successful buy older cars because they're spending their money smarter. They're not trying to save money because they don't have a need to save money. Mm-hmm. So I think that, you have to kind of put that into a different perspective and a different mindset. Things like, there's certain things like, maybe not buying name brand. I mean, not going out there and buying the Nike and not going out there and buying, Under Armour just because everyone else is wearing Under Armour. I mean, you can go out there and you can buy an off-brand off Amazon,
right.
for base layers and stuff like that for colder weather. You can go and buy that stuff. I mean, I do that myself. I don't buy the name brand stuff. I go on there and I find something that is a reasonable price
Right.
with really good reviews, and that's what I buy. It's part of spending your money smarter is going out there and, doing the research and finding products that work for, a reasonable price.
Yeah, I mean, and you can also just go to Walmart's very cheap, but maybe don't go to Walmart, go to Ross, you know what I mean? Which is very cheap as well, but it's going to last you a little while. Something like that. Those kind of things will help you get quality products so you don't have to replace them. Because, if you're buying a $2 shirt every month, you know what I mean? That's like $24 a year, where you can just spend $12 right up front and then have it for years, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's just, I did buy this shirt at Walmart though, so I guess I'm kind of a hypocrite, but this one has good quality, you know what I mean? So kind of gauge it like that. Like if it's good quality, buy it. If it's not, don't.
Yeah, and that kind of feeds into what I was just saying about, not just trying to save money. It's a matter of, like you say, spend more money up front for something that's going to last.
Right. So
you're spending your money smarter. You're not going to go out and spend that same money 3 or 4 times just to save money. I think that's one of the mentalities that our society has got into, especially with, Walmart. I guess you could call it the Walmart era.
Right.
For the last 10, 15, 20 years, like Walmart and stores like Walmart have kind of, come to the forefront. You don't see people going to stores like, we used to have Sears used to be a big retailer. They'd have the higher quality products, and Woolworths, for some of you that are older that might remember that. We don't have those kind of stores anymore because it's Walmart is able to come in with a comparable product,
right.
even though it's cheaper, but it looks the same and it costs a lot less. So,
right.
A lot of people have gotten into this, buying it 4, 5, 6 times a year at Walmart,
right.
and thinking that they're saving money, where the truth of the matter is that they're actually spending more money than they would if they just went out and bought a cheap product once.
Right.
A higher quality product once.
Right. Yeah, and like I said, gauge it because this is from Walmart, but it's higher quality. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So if you go to Walmart, it's not necessarily a knock against Walmart. You know what I mean? It's just more of a knock against some of the cheaper products that they have. You know what I mean? I think these jeans are from Walmart, but, they're higher quality than some of the other pants and things like that they have that are going to shrink or, rip at the seam or whatever it is. And, that's also, if you're going to buy online, go to a more, not experienced, but like someone who's very like Amazon. You know what I mean? Don't go to just someone who's drop shipping, because usually that's not very good. It's not very good products and things like that. But yeah, that's one way, is like things like clothing and things like that. But you know, on the topic of like Walmart, going to buy your groceries at Walmart and things like that instead of going to like Whole Foods. I mean, you can get more high quality, but you know, it's very cheap. You know what I mean? Instead of like having this really organic stuff like that, unless you're kind of on a diet that needs that, you can actually find, you know, good healthy products at Walmart, even though, you know, you don't really think about it like that. You think about going to get a $1 bag of Cheetos. You know what I mean? You don't think about going to get, you know, a bag of lettuce, you know, things like that. But you can actually shop there for cheap, you know, and get good products out of it too. So
it's one of the advantages of Walmart that Walmart has as a retailer. I mean, they're the largest retailer in the world,
right?
So they're able to buy all these products like our produce and our meats and, you know, our perishables and stuff like that. They're able to buy them in such a large volume that, you know, they're able to keep the prices down. You know, we've talked before about how, you know, their price on steaks and stuff like that is just, I mean, barely enough, you know, to, you know, they keep it just barely enough so that it's just barely profitable.
Right.
You know, and that's one of those things that I'm sure a lot of their products are like that, and they just survive on pure volume, you know, the volume of the product. So, you know, they are a good place to go if you want to save money on groceries, you know, perishable stuff like that. You know, those are the kinds of things that, I mean, you know, the quality looking at it. It's not like, you know, like when you're comparing a shirt that you buy at Walmart to a shirt that you buy at Ross, you know,
Right.
or a shirt that you buy at one of the larger retailers like JCPenney or Kohl's or something like that. I mean, if you put that shirt beside that shirt, you'd be able to say, okay, well, this one, you know, feels better quality and this one doesn't. Well, with food, I mean, it's pretty easy. You compare.
Right.
I mean, if an orange isn't rotten, it's a good orange.
Right.
I mean, it's not like you know, these larger retailers like Albertsons and Safeway. It's not like, you know, places like that are, you know, have the market cornered on the best oranges out there.
Right.
You know, Walmart and them buy from the same place. Same with their meats. Walmart and Albertsons and Safeway and all these large retailers actually buy their meats usually from the same places. So
Right.
it's just individually packaged differently. So, so I guess Walmart is a really good place for, you know, perishables and stuff to go to save money.
Yeah, I mean, also, if you're going to go to Walmart and things like that, look for the Walmart brand of things, like toothpaste maybe, or even as far as, you know, like, no, I wouldn't say drugs, but, you know, like ibuprofen, things like that. Like, if you're looking for things like that, it's exactly what you were saying. They get it from the same place. When Walmart Corporation, Sam's Club, Walmart, whatever it is, when they go and they have their own products like ibuprofen and things like that, it's not because they go and just create their own products. They'll look at something and they say, can we make this for cheaper? And if the question is, or if the answer is yes, then they go ahead and make it anyway. It's the exact same thing. The same manufacturers make it. And usually, like, when people think that, you know, like Walmart makes their own products in their own warehouse, and, you know, then, you know, other brands make their own product, it's actually not true. Like, Microsoft does not make Xboxes. It's someone else, you know what I mean? Walmart does not make their own stuff. Neither does, you know, the large pharmaceutical companies that also make ibuprofen and things like that. It's all from one place. Walmart just notices that we can make it slightly cheaper, and so they do. So if you're going to go in, don't worry if it's off-brand. It's usually the same thing. I mean, read the contents first, just to be sure. But it's usually the exact same thing from the exact same place. It's just a different bottle. And, you know, sometimes 50 cents to $1, $2 cheaper than the usual brand. So you can save money that way too when you're shopping. A lot of different tricks while shopping. So, but yeah. One other thing, since we're on shopping too, a good way to save money is to not buy things like water bottles. Unless, of course, you're living in Flint, Michigan, you know what I mean? Or some place like that, that's, you know, the water's contaminated, and you need that kind of stuff. If you're able to maybe buy a Brita filter, it's like the same thing, buying $2 shirts every month rather than just buying a $12 shirt, you know what I mean? Brita, or something comparable to that, like a water filter or something like that, isn't really cheap and things like that. Like, it's probably, I don't know how much it is, like $20, I don't know. And water is probably like $8 for a case or something like that. So it seems like a little bit more, but then you have to buy a new, case of water every single month, or even the big bottles and things like that. If you're able to just use a water purifier, like if you're in an area that has really, really bad water, maybe go and buy water bottles, because I don't know if a Brita filter is that good. But like if you're just conscious about like being healthy and things like that, just get a Brita filter, because it's going to save you money in the long run, even though you're paying a little bit up front for that. It's basically like that for a lot of things. Just pay a little bit more up front sometimes, like with the drugs. That sounds bad. I shouldn't say that. Not with drugs, but like with,
gonna get our channel banned.
I know, right? But like with ibuprofen, melatonin, whatever you're like, maybe just some vitamins and things like that. If you're taking vitamins, go ahead and like buy the cheaper ones, because they're the same thing. But like with stuff like that, when it's just like different products and things like that, one's more expensive but will save you money in the long run. Like kind of evaluate like where you can go with that and like the different places you can go with that. So yeah.
Another thing to kind of think about too is trying to be frugal. Going to an online retailer, Amazon, Walmart does it now, where you can phone and have your groceries picked for you, and you just stop and pick them up. I think that's fair to mention is something that as a way to be more frugal and save money. A lot of these big retailers like Walmart are designed so that when you walk into that store, you don't just walk in and you don't just buy the one thing that you're there for.
Right.
All their end cap designs, their aisles are designed so that, to get to the groceries, you're seeing down the aisle, you're seeing school supplies, and you're seeing, toys, and you're seeing, maybe some kitchen supplies. There's a few different end caps and center aisle displays that are designed to catch your eye. I mean, how many times have you walked down one aisle, you're going down to get coffee, and all of a sudden you see, like these really cool, placemats or oven mitts or something like that hanging on one of those end caps. They're designed to catch you, so you buy it, and all of a sudden you're like, you might not want that one product, but, you see, a pot holder or something like that, and you're like, oh man, we need some pot holders. So then you walk to the other side of the store and you look for that, and then along the way you're seeing all these different things that you feel like buying, because you just see them and they catch your eye, and they're great colors or they're good prices. I mean, I don't know how many times in my life I've looked at something and said, oh, it's only $3. Well, I might as well grab it.
Right. Yeah.
But you think, okay, well, that item's usually $10, so I saved $7. No, you didn't save $7. You just spent $3. And it's just a mentality that we have. And dollar stores are another place, where you go into a dollar store and you think, I'm just going to go in there. I'm going to save all this money by buying 1 or 2 or 3 products that I need. And by the time you walk through that dollar store, instead of buying, spending the $3 you meant to go in there, all of a sudden you've got a basket full of stuff. You've got $20 worth of items that you're like, wow, I just saved all this money on this. Well, no, you just spent all this extra money on stuff that you didn't go in there in the first place for. So that, in a roundabout way, that kind of brings me back to the point of an online retailer. I mean, with an online retailer like Amazon or doing it through Walmart, you can you can take your grocery list with Walmart and you can say, this is what I need, and put it into a list and order that from Walmart. And then, when you're ready, when your order's ready, you just pull up, they bring it out to your car, you put it in your car, and you drive home.
Right.
Great way to stay frugal. Same thing with Amazon, instead of, you got to think, okay, so you want to go, you need like 2 or 3 small items, which you can find on Amazon. Well, if you had to go out to get those here, like the other day, I needed some screws to mount my TV. All right. I also needed some windshield washer fluid, some eggs, and there was a couple other things that I needed. So I would have had to go to 2 or 3 different locations to pick it up. Well, you got to take into account the money that you're spending on gas, your time that you're spending. Right. I mean, like anyone knows, to go out to the store to grab a few things, you're going to be gone for an hour or 2 hours. Right. And while you're out, if you forgot to eat, you're also going to buy some, something to eat. Maybe it's just a snack. Maybe it's just a protein bar, but there's $3 for something like that. Hey, we should grab a coffee while we're out, while we're shopping. There's another $3 to $10 depending on what kind of coffee you're buying. There's all these different things that we don't think about as ways to be frugal while we're shopping. We think about, buying the cheap products, but we don't think about the time and the money and the wear and tear on our vehicles and all these things, these extra things that we convince ourselves. In the end, we really aren't being frugal when we do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Like I like what you said about the gas and things like that. Nobody actually thinks about that. You know what I mean? I don't know, like people have to take into account things like that, because even if it's a couple bucks, you're still losing a couple bucks, and then you're going to a store that maybe you think you're gaining a couple bucks, and like it's just all perception, you know what I mean? That's fantastic marketing and things like that. Like you're saving all this money, and people think, oh, that's good, I like saving money, you know what I mean? But it's not. You're not saving money, because if you're spending anything more than a penny, or a penny even, you're spending money, you know what I mean? It's not saving money at all. Don't care what it was, because if something's $1, I could go on eBay and find it for 50 cents if it's like a book or something like that, you know what I mean? Like everything's lower, but I'm still spending, you know what I mean?
And I think it is one of those things that we have to realize, that these businesses aren't out there to save us money. These businesses are out there trying to get us to spend our money.
Yeah, it's like, you don't like making money, like businesses, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's crazy that it's that low. I guess they don't like making money. You know, I heard one guy say, he was a YouTuber too, and he was selling products and things like that. He was like, I don't even know how we're going to make money on this, but you know, I like saving you guys money. That's all I care about. It's like, no, you don't. Yeah. You have a Lamborghini. What are you talking about? You know what I mean? Like, you like making money, and you're not, you know, you're not out there to help anybody. You're out there to help yourself. Like, you know what I mean? Like, people, like, that's not a bad thing. You know what I mean? Like, with my businesses, I'm there to make money too. Like, I want to make it the most valuable product out there. You know what I mean? But I'm not worried about, like, making it seem like everyone's saving all this money, you know what I mean? Like having a slash through the $100 sign and $59.99, you know what I mean? Like, like those are gimmicky kind of things, and I mean, it's like obviously not a bad thing, you know what I mean? Like if you're gonna get something for a lower price, that's great, but that's interesting. What's interesting too is the way they lay out their stores in Walmart, because like the milk and eggs are in the back, and that's the most. Like that's what everyone's there for, pretty much. Like everyone's there for milk and eggs. You know, everyone needs milk and eggs, so they put those in the back of the store. You know what I mean? Because you have to walk through the entire store, be like, oh, I do need cupcakes. You know, no, you don't. So you know, like that's a great way of, you know, staying frugal, is like getting those different services and things like that. That's why, like in our future predictions, I talked about delivery service. Like that's going to be big in the future, you know what I mean? Like Amazon does it, you know, different things, but once we like get more advanced in it and we're able to do different things with it, like it's just going to be one of the biggest like markets out there is delivery. You know what I mean? UPS does it, things like that, but it's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, you know what I mean? But yeah, another way to stay frugal is it's interesting because Graham Stephan talked about this on our last podcast. We talked about Graham Stephan, but he talks about doing laundry at off-peak electrical hours, which is really interesting. You can at like 10 p.m. or whatever, if you're able to stay up that late, you can actually save like, I think it's like 20 cents on the load or something like that, or 10 cents on the load if you do it at an off-peak electrical hour, which is really interesting, like at 10 p.m. and things like that. There's just like little things that you can save money on if you go onto YouTube and things like that. Off-peak electrical hours, making coffee at home, which is another thing he talks about. Like if you're able to do that, especially cooking too. We just talked about grocery stores and stuff. If you're able to go to the grocery store or even just get it delivered and just cook at home, like make sure everything, you know, you have everything, or even just sign up for like Blue Apron and things like that. Like that'll save you tons of money in the future. Because if you think about it, you're not just paying for, when you go out, you're not just paying for the meal, you're not just paying for the burger at McDonald's, you're paying for the burger plus the gas plus the work that the workers did. You're not just paying for the burger. If you're paying for the burger, it would be a lot less than it is. But you're paying for the work as well, and then you're also paying for, of course, your gas, your time, you know, things such as that. So it's much easier to just pack food. You actually save quite a bit of money if you pack food at home. You never actually realize it because you just buy groceries and then you go out and eat. But if you just just get groceries and then pack food, you know what I mean, you never realize how much you actually save. Very cool. But,
yeah. Absolutely. I guess that kind of segues into another way to save money, cooking at home. You know, it's one of those things that in our world now, with all the flashy signs, you know, when you go out to do something, I mean, you're inundated with all these signs of, you know, fast food and, you know, cheap prices. Right. And, you know, we're kind of fooled into thinking, I mean, it used to be, you know, McDonald's, you could get a couple dollars, you could get a meal. Right. I don't know if it's just one of those things as I get older, you know, that old man syndrome, you know, I remember when everything was $1. You know, nowadays, I mean, to go to McDonald's to feed yourself, you're $10 or $12. Right. You know, it used to seem like it was more economical just to grab a burger when you are out than to, try and, replicate it at home or make something, comparable at home kind of thing. But now, I mean, that's a huge thing. Spending money on fast food is huge. Every gas station you walk into, they've got some sort of hot food in there because they know you're going to come in there, you're going to get gas, and you're going to come in there, and you're going to smell that food, and you're going to get hungry. So I mean, you got to think that the exorbitant prices you're paying for that stuff. I mean, that money, if you stopped and added it up in a month, that could probably feed you for 2 months what you spend, in a month on fast food.
And it might have to one day, if anything happens, you know what I mean? You lose your job, you need to, pay for groceries somehow, so might as well save that money now and like build up an emergency fund and things like that. That's really what you want to do with the money. You know what I mean? You want to build up a fund of, I think it was 3 to
6 months of your income.
3 to 6 months of your income, or like living expensive or whatever. So 3 to 6 months of your living expenses, so that way if anything does happen, you're able to find a job. You know what I mean? Also, I mean, if you think about it, you should save money because let's say you're able to save $100,000. You know what I mean? If you have a good job, you're living pretty frugally, which is just interesting because Graham Stephan talks about, saving 99% of his income. He can do that because living frugally, plus all the income he makes from YouTube, real estate, things like that. So if you're able to save a lot of your income and you're able to save maybe $100,000, let's say, and you have an emergency fund beyond that. So you have an emergency fund, you're able to live, fine for 6 months or whatever it is, and then you have maybe $100,000 saved up because you're able to do that. So let's say for a minute that the stock market crashes and you see an opportunity, housing goes way down, and $100,000 houses are now $50,000 houses or whatever it is. Like, it's really bad. You know what I mean? You can take that and buy 2 houses and then wait till the market to go up and sell that for like what would it be on that? Like if it goes back up to 100 or even goes up to $120,000, you got $240,000. You turn 120 into 240. So saving money isn't just like a boring thing that you do to have, just all the stuff in the bank and like accruing stuff that you're never going to use, for a rainy day that may never come. It's also a great, way to advance your money at some point. You know what I mean? If you can save enough money to do something like that, or even just buy a bunch of houses with $200,000, $50,000 each, you get 4 houses, and then you rent those out once the market comes back, and you're able to make a residual income, and it's just a great opportunity for you. Or even if you're able to just save $20,000, you just paid for half of a $50,000 house. You know what I mean? And so once the equity goes up, you're doing pretty good for yourself. But yeah, so there's a lot of ways you can take advantage of saving money. You know what I mean? It's not just stockpiling stuff. You know what I mean? I think that's what people hate about saving money is their stockpiling thing, like just getting their numbers up. And people don't really like doing that. They're like, why wouldn't I just buy things now? You know what I mean? And I mean, that's great. You can buy things now and you can actually live a good life while being frugal and saving money. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be, a boring life. But, it's just good for those kind of opportunities. Also, if anything happens, you get injured at work or whatever it is. So just different things that can help you out. But,
yeah. I mean, obviously it's all about mindset.
Right.
And nowadays it's almost like life is all about just acquiring stuff. And and you can see that in the way that our media goes, YouTube, that's how people are. I mean, they want stuff. So that's how people sell it to them. Is they say, hey, you can have all this stuff if you just buy my program, or if you just watch my videos, you can have all this stuff. Right. And it's, unfortunately, it's like we've talked about with books and YouTubers and things like that. Not everything out there is going to be for every person. Yeah. So everyone out there is going to have their different motivation and their different, things that's going to have impact on them. Right. So, but the one thing that's constant is people want to be rich. Yeah. People want to be successful. They want to find the easiest way to get there. So that's why so many people fall into these traps with these multi-level marketing and these different seminars and programs that people are out there offering. I mean, like if you go onto YouTube, you can find information on how to become a day trader or Amazon, seller, or Shopify, have your own Shopify store, or become a day trading investment guru. Just like all of a sudden you take the 3-week course and you're gonna drive a Ferrari.
Right.
It's kind of sad when you think about it. When if people actually, if we were taught how to be frugal and how to save money and how to spend money more wisely, a lot more people would be successful. I mean, like, you look at a thing like Amazon. 20 years ago, if I would have been smart and I would have been looking into this stuff at your age, and I saw this Amazon, because I've always been someone who enjoys, seeing new stuff and new technology and cell phones and online shopping. Like, a lot of people were afraid of online shopping when it first came out. I was never afraid of it. A lot of people were afraid of it again when the tech bubble burst and everything kind of, all these online stores and everything lost all their money. I still wasn't afraid of it. I was still willing to buy online.
Right.
So if I would have been smart with my money and really looked at things like Amazon, if I would have invested $1,000 back then, I mean, you probably know that money would have meant I'd never have to work another day in my life.
Right.
Getting into things like cryptocurrency, back 20 years ago. Right. I heard about Bitcoin. Maybe it wasn't 20 years ago. Yeah, it must have been about 20 years ago. I heard about Bitcoin. It was more of a thing that it was used for kind of shady business deals or gambling, things like that. So, but if I would have bought it when it was $1, right now you look at it and it's in the $10,000 range, $9,000 to $10,000 range. Like, that would have meant that I would have been able to retire at my age. Like, there's just so many things that if people were smarter about their monies, there's just so many more opportunities out there instead of going for the flashy, being frugal and looking for the smart ways to invest their money.
Yeah, I mean, if it's popular, don't do it. I mean, not necessarily popular, because I mean, just starting your own business is popular. I'm just saying, like, if it's like Bitcoin today isn't going to be like it was 20 years ago. It's not going to be like an overnight millionaire thing. Like, it's probably never going to be like that again.
No.
Like, we lost our opportunity on that. Facebook. People jumped on Facebook way too late, doing all this. There are so many eyes on Facebook, but not enough content, and people were just like thousands of views of a video that was just uploaded. Same thing with like TikTok, but a lot of people just miss TikTok. You know what I mean? But if it's popular today, like, it's usually oversaturated. Like, Shopify drop shipping is it's saturated. Like, there's basically, you can't really do much with that. Like, Shopify is a great company because you can be a business selling like plates, you know what I mean? And have your own plates and sell those. But if you're drop shipping other things from like AliExpress or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, just shirts from China, like, everyone has those. You're not going to make money. Mm-hmm. I found that out the hard way, unfortunately, because I tried that out, you know what I mean? But, you're not going to make money with that. And you just have to realize that, like, and I mean, you have to gauge it too, because real estate's popular, but it's tried and true. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. The stock market's popular, but it's tried and true. But, like, maybe don't completely put all your savings into Bitcoin, because, I mean, Bitcoin's not necessarily bad, but it's not like it was. You know what I mean? It's not going to make you a millionaire overnight. It can help you. It can grow your money a little bit, just like a stock can. But it's not going to just shoot up. You know what I mean? Like it did in whatever that year was, 2010, 20, something like that. Yeah. But, still, like, just take your time, look at, like, your options, things like that. That's why I like angel investing, is because, it's different markets, different products and things like that have the potential to. No matter how many people jump on that train, it's not going to be like it's saturated. You know what I mean? Because new businesses are going on there every day. You know what I mean? Or not going on there every day, but like going and invest, or going to do crowdfunding every day. You know what I mean? So it's just a lot of different things you can do with that. Angel investing and things like that. It's probably not going to ever get saturated, because I don't think it can be saturated. But
yeah. Well, there's a lot of stuff like that. I mean, if you look at things, Robinhood's another one we've talked about in the past. Yeah. Acorns. We touched on Acorns. There's a lot of different platforms out like that you want to be frugal with your money. Those are ways that you can get into the investing game, start putting away a little bit of money. I actually like the concept of Acorns. So if you're spending the money, it's almost like it's helping you stay honest. It's rounding the number up. It's putting a little bit of that money away just because, so if you buy something for $2.50 and you have it set away to round up the next dollar, it's going to put away 50 cents into your savings account.
Yeah.
So it's a really smart idea for someone who wants to try and save a little bit of money. There's a few other apps out. I've seen a few other apps out like that lately as well that, just kind of help you. They do a lot of the thinking for you. So you don't actually have to think about how you're spending your money. It's going to tell you, there's a lot of good budgeting apps out there that can help you be more frugal. I think that's one of the biggest things that mistakes that people make in spending money is they don't know where all their money goes. So, it might be something to seriously think about if you're, as a first step to being frugal is going out there and making a budget.
Right.
Writing down exactly where your money's going, seeing where you're not spending your money wisely, seeing where you can save money, seeing, where you can, maybe put aside a little bit into savings, things like that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I use Acorns investing and things like that, and I love it because it's like hands-free, things like that. You don't even think about it. It just comes out of your account. Of course, make sure you have enough money in your account, but it'll take money out of your account basically without you thinking about it. Like what's the really difference between $3.50 and $4? 50 cents. Like I would pay 50 cents to for the product anyway. You know what I mean? Like I would pay an extra 50 cents for this $3.50 product because that's still cheap. So you're basically doing that. And also it just kind of helps you, like if you're going to buy a coffee, you know what I mean? It's $3.75 for a coffee maybe. And then you don't really feel bad because you're also investing. You know what I mean? So it's kind of an interesting thing. I like that you mentioned that too, because like we were talking about the saturated things, like Robinhood, when Robinhood came out, thousands of other ones came out. Like M1 Finance came out. What's the other one? Webull came out. Acorns is different, but it came out because of the online investing era. You know what I mean? Like Robinhood kind of created that. So it's really interesting. Like, just that's another example of like saturated areas. Maybe don't create a new online investing app. Maybe put your money towards something else because it's actually not going to grow your money. Things like that. And also one thing too is there's a difference between saving, because you can save money but not put it in a savings account. You can save money and put it into the stock market or into a new business or something like that. That's another great way for the future too, because like if you put more things out there, something's going to come back to you. If you put more things in the stock market and then Acorns investing and a business and startups and things like that, something's going to come back to you. You know what I mean? So you don't have to worry about like if you're saving money but your savings account didn't really get any bigger because you put it into like a business, like that's good too. You know what I mean? Like there's great other ways to put money forward than in a savings account. So that's another misconception too, that people just think that they have to have a savings account. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Well, that was one of the things that it was interesting. Gray and Steven did an interview with a guy from back east somewhere, and he was a hairstylist, and he made a lot of money. He netted about $280,000 a year.
Right.
But this guy, he spent his money like it was going out of fashion.
Right.
Speaking of fashion, he spent I think $2,500 a month on just his fashion. Another $4,000 a month on cars.
Right.
And, he just spent his money and spent his money and spent his money. And really didn't give a lot of thought to the future about, where all this money was going to go. He really had no idea, like when Graham talked to him about, well, where's this money going? Well, it kind of goes here and kind of goes there, and you really didn't have an idea where it was going. So, I mean, like actually sitting down, budgeting, knowing where your money's going, makes a huge difference.
Oh yeah, just in mentality too. Like once you start like budgeting and things like that, people should check out Dave Ramsey show and things like that. Just things he talks about, like going and buying things in cash rather than carrying around credit cards is much better because you don't really realize like what you're giving up. So like if you put your credit card in, it's like free thing, I put it in, take it out, and then I have this stuff. You know what I mean? The pain receptors in your brain don't go off. You know what I mean? But if you go in with cash and you hand somebody something and you don't get that back, but you get the stuff, like you're trading this for that, so it helps you kind of realize like what you're doing. Like, do you really want to, spend all this cash, or do you want the thing? If you want the thing, that's great. But if you want the cash, keep the cash. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's a great way to save money too. Go in with cash, not with card. So, like go in. He talks about in Financial Peace University, I believe he talks about going to a furniture store one time, and he brought $400. This is probably a long time ago because furniture is not $400 anymore. Yeah, it's quite expensive. But he goes in with $400, and he looks around. He's like, I need a new couch and things like that. And then he goes to get the couch. And he's like, you know what? I kind of just want my money, and just leaves or whatever. And it's just interesting, like different tricks you can use and habits, things like that you can put in place to save money. You know what I mean? It's not just like all the time, because I think if you don't put a structure in place, it's just going to collapse. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You're just going to go, nah, what's that? What the heck? I'll just buy that. You know what I mean? And you're not going to worry about it. But setting a budget, setting grocery lists when you go out shopping, like don't deviate from that. Bring cash, not card. That all helps you a lot.
Yeah. I think you kind of hit on a good point there about credit cards too. I mean, a lot of times we use credit cards as almost like this extension of our own money.
Yeah.
Where credit cards are just debt. Mm-hmm. A lot of people, like Dave Ramsey talks about credit cards being evil. He doesn't think we should use them.
Right.
I think for the majority of the population, they shouldn't use them. Right. I think for people that can handle them properly, they're great tools. Graham Stefan, he talks about using credit cards as tools. Mm-hmm. So we get trapped into all these credit card offers because we get, 1% cash back, right, or we get, travel rewards or free miles or something like that. They're not giving these things to us for free. Right. They get them back because we charge things up on our credit cards. Traditionally as a society, we, charge as much as we can, then we make a minimum payment, and we spend the next 20 years paying them back for money that we spent long ago, and that probably that product we bought with that is gone.
Right.
So, for most people, credit cards aren't a good idea. Now, if you are a lot smarter with them and you use them as a tool and you pay them off every month, they can be a good tool. They give you, you can build up your credit. They give you the flexibility, to use other people's money to invest for you. So, with Graham, Steve, and a couple other people I've watched, they use them for business expenses. Right. They use them for, maybe advertising or something like that. It gives them a little bit. They're using somebody else's money to benefit themselves in advance of having the money to pay for that service.
Right.
I don't know if that really makes sense, but if you can do it, it's a really good tool to have, and you can use it to your own benefit.
Yeah, you can get air mile if you have the cash. Like, let's say you have $30 to go buy something, and you're gonna buy it. You know what I mean? Like, it's mm-hmm. helpful with the Brita filter, maybe. Go and buy the Brita filter with the credit card. Then go home and pay, or when you get their bill or whatever, pay the credit card off, and then you have the thing. You spent the money you're gonna spend anyway. But at the same time, you built a little bit of credit, plus you got maybe air mile points or, mm-hmm. cash back or whatever. So actually you saved money on it. And that's actual saving money. That's not like, it's $1 used to be, $2 and you're saving $1. You know what I mean? That's mm-hmm. actual saving money because you bought it for $30 and then got $1 back.
Yeah.
So that's interesting too.
Discover is kind of one of those cards like that. So Discover has quarterly bonuses.
Right.
So you get a 1 or 2% cash back with Discover. And then quarterly, they have different promotions. So one quarter, it'll be groceries.
Okay.
Next quarter, it'll be gas, online stores, there's 4 different quarters for the year. So they'll have a different promotion for each of them, which will give you an additional 5% cash back.
Right.
So, something like groceries. If you're going to be going to buy groceries anyway, you might as well use that Discover card. So, I that's one of the cards that I use myself. So I'll go and I will, instead of going and paying cash and taking that money out of my account, I'll go and use my Discover card. Well, then I'll go home and pay off the groceries I bought. So I'm getting, I'm going to be using that money anyway, but I'm just using it a little bit smarter. So I'm getting 5% cash back, say on a $200 bill, which is going to be $10. So I just basically got a 5% discount on my groceries, which is generally an area where you don't get a discount. Mm-hmm. So and then there's also going to be that 1%. But the problem is that a lot of people get caught into this trap where, I'm getting 1% cash back. But you got to realize to make it significant, I mean, to make it really significant, I mean, to get $100 back, $100 to a lot of people is significant.
Right.
Well, to get that $100, you have to spend $10,000 on your credit card.
Yeah.
So for a person that $100 seems significant to, you would have to spend, to get that back in a year, you would have to spend $10,000 on your credit card. Well, if you're spending $10,000 on your credit card and you think $100 is significant, obviously you don't have the money to be spending $10,000 a year.
Yeah.
Right. So same thing, if you think $1,000 is significant, you'd have to spend $100,000 on that credit card to earn that $1,000 worth of cash back. So, I mean, you got to be really smart about how you're using it and really sit down and think about what a benefit it is. I mean, air miles, so for travel miles and flight miles and stuff like that. Unless you're if you're a business person,
right,
it's a great write-off. So if you're going to be flying coast to coast, once or twice a month, to get a credit card that gives you reward miles is going to be a huge benefit for you. I mean, you can use those reward miles for personal use. I mean, you're going to be spending the money anyway, so you take those and you use them for personal use for your vacation, a couple times a year, or to fly family around or something like that. Yeah, it's a great benefit. But for most people, I mean, that's just going to use that credit card to, buy gas. They've got a small $5,000 limit on it. To earn, I mean, it's going to be the same thing. To earn $1,000 flight, they're going to have to spend $100,000 in a year.
Yeah.
So it's just not worth it for them.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, and of course, if you can take a little bit off, if you're not a person that travels too much, and you can still maybe purchase things and then get the air miles, and even if it doesn't cover the entire flight, just pay for a little bit of the flight. That's cool too. So that's another thing you can look into. And I mean, go with your lifestyle too. So if you're not traveling at all, you don't have any intention to travel, maybe that one's not the one for you, but maybe a different one is. So you can go on things like Credit Karma, things like that. One thing I wanted to mention real quick before we wrap up here is the interesting thing about how billionaires are very frugal. There's actually a famous story out there about Bill Gates. He bought Warren Buffett a meal at McDonald's using a lot of coupons. He used a couple coupons or whatever, which is really interesting. If you look at you don't think those guys, like you mentioned earlier, that Warren Buffett's frugal. He buys old cars and things like that to drive around in because they just work. But those guys, they're frugal and they have billions and billions of dollars sitting in the bank. Maybe not sitting in the bank, but you know what I mean.
Absolutely
at their disposal. Basically, they could buy McDonald's. And just have McDonald's, you know what I mean? They could buy the corporation probably. So that's pretty interesting that they use coupons while buying it because, they realize the value of, coupons. Why not get a deal? You know what I mean? You're actually saving money. You're not it's not you're just spending money. You're actually saving money with the coupons technically.
I think it'd be more accurate to say that they are spending their money smarter.
Yeah,
I mean, I think so many times, we talked about on so many different points, that saving is really a misnomer.
Yeah,
it's something that we've been tricked into, thinking by the retailers that we're doing on a consistent basis is saving when we're just actually spending.
Yeah, so smarter spending then. Smarter spending for sure.
All right, guys. Well, I guess that about does it for the podcast today. I hope you enjoyed the show.
All down below is social links and things like that to our different social media. Leave us a like, subscribe, and give us a comment if you want us to talk about anything on a future episode.
Make sure to hit that bell notification so you're notified when we upload new videos.
See you guys next time. Have a good day.
See you next time.